We're now going to define a polynomial function, and the general definition of a polynomial looks a little strange. Let's make a few declarations before we begin. We're going to be using the variable n, and let's say that this n has to be an integer. This symbol means is an element of, and this symbol represents the set of integers. We're also going to be using an a value, and we'll say a is an element of the real numbers. A polynomial function is going to consist of a lot of terms that are being added together. We'll start with x raised to an integer power, n, and that x to the n term could have some coefficient that's going to be related to that term. We'll say a sub n, meaning basically it's the coefficient on the x to the nth term. And then we step down a degree with the next term. So we have x to the n minus 1, and this term will have its own coefficient. We'll say a sub n minus 1 is the coefficient that goes on the x to the n minus 1 term. And we keep doing this, stepping down the power of each term until we get down to the x squared term, whose coefficient is a sub 2. The x to the first term has its coefficient, we'll call it a sub 1. And then finally we have the a sub 0 coefficient on the x to the 0 term. But since anything raised to the 0 is 1, we don't have to write x to the 0 because that's just equal to 1. So this definition looks pretty abstract, but basically what it's saying is that we're going to have a bunch of terms, x raised to a power, and the powers on those x's have to be positive integers. And the coefficients on those x's have to be real numbers. Let's identify some of the characteristics of a polynomial. We talk about the leading coefficient being the coefficient on the x raised to the highest power. So the highest power here is x to the n, and therefore a sub n is the leading coefficient. The constant term is a sub 0, or the coefficient on the x to the 0 term, but again we don't write x to the 0 power because that's just equal to 1. The domain of any polynomial function is all real numbers. So the graph of the polynomial function is going to extend from negative infinity to positive infinity, and we say that these graphs will always be smooth and continuous. There are no sharp corners, there are no gaps, there are no asymptotes in a polynomial. The degree of this polynomial in the general form here is going to be equal to n. The highest power on x is what determines the degree, even if it's not written in descending order, even if that term occurs in the middle of the polynomial. So in this example, we're asked to determine which of these are polynomials. For those that are, state the degree. For those that are not, explain why not. And then we also want to identify the leading term. Now, some things that are not allowed in a polynomial are x is under a radical, x is in the denominator of the fraction, x is raised to non-integer powers, and x is raised to negative powers. So in this example, part A is a polynomial. The powers on the x's are all positive integers. None of those x's are under radicals or in the denominator of a fraction. Since it's a polynomial, we can talk about the degree, and the degree is determined by the highest power on any of the x's, no matter where that term occurs in the equation. And most of the time, polynomials are written in descending form, which means that that highest power would be first. So in this case, the degree is equal to 2. This is a second degree polynomial. Now, even if it wasn't written in descending form, even if this term were located in the center of the polynomial, it would still be the leading term. The leading term is determined by the highest power on the x, no matter where that's located in the polynomial. So here, let's say the leading term is 3x squared. In part B, this is not a polynomial. The terms that are not allowed in polynomials are all of them, actually. We're not allowed to have fractions as exponents. We're not allowed to have negatives as exponents, and we're not allowed to have x's under the radical. So if any of these terms were present, it would not be a polynomial, and certainly not if all three are present. In this last example, this is still, yes, a polynomial. Now, it's currently not written in that general form of a polynomial. This is a polynomial that's in a factored form. If we were to multiply all this out, it would be in that general form. And in order to determine the degree, we're going to have to envision what the leading term's highest power would be once it is multiplied out. Now, we definitely want to figure a way to define the degree without actually having to multiply everything out. We can see how problematic that would be if I just threw a power 7 right here. I definitely wouldn't want to have to multiply x plus 1 times x plus 1 times x plus 1 7 times. That would take a very long time. So we can tell what that highest power is going to be without multiplying everything out by using a more theoretical approach. When we square a binomial, this is going to be x minus 3 times x minus 3, and the first terms multiplied together are going to give me x squared. And then we're going to have some cascading terms down beyond that. But when we multiply out a binomial, the first term is going to be x squared, and then the rest would need to be calculated. If I take that x squared and multiply it by x to the first two terms multiplied together is going to be x cubed, and then the remaining terms would need to be calculated. If we then multiply in the -4, that leading term is going to be -4x cubed, and the remaining terms would need to be calculated. But we can tell what that leading term is going to be without having to multiply everything out. So the degree of this polynomial in part C is going to be 3. It's a third-degree polynomial, and we can tell that the leading term is going to be -4x cubed.